Hi friends, this is Amanda and I'm your art teacher today, here working on my fifth segment of a gouache painting of Virginia Beach. And it's been a while since I've worked on it. I've been doing other paintings and writing and reading, but today is the day to work on this. So I have a fire going. It's nice and gray outside. We had hail earlier, which was fun. And when you take time off of a painting and you come back to it, things happen to it. It gets dusty, or you get fireplace ash on it, and then so you gotta dust it off before you start. Otherwise, you'll get little streaks and particles and stuff. And it's good to just dust it off and sort of like re-enter this realm that you're creating. And if you have an oil painting that you've taken time off of, you can go over it with a light coating of oil, and sort of like to remove any stuff that might have gotten on it. And I don't always do that, but sometimes I do, and it helps to make the paint just go on a little smoother. So now that I've dusted my painting, I will review where I left off on my last video. So on my last video, I had mentioned that I had done this line, and it's pretty, the darkest part of the whole painting other than the bridge or the pier. I had painted this line, but it was down here. And I remeasured this into thirds. So I noticed that this line will have to be higher. So at the end of the last video, I kind of blurted out, and with gouache paint, you can just re-wet it and pick up where you left off. More so than watercolor, I have found I'm new to gouache, so all these little tips and tricks are new to me. And yeah, so when I did that, I also removed a lot of the excess pigment that was over here. And one of my first videos about this, I took a lot of time and I drew out where the sand meets the water, because I love these lines, like the sweeping motion here, here, here. I just love these lines. So I took my time to draw them, and then I wanted to make a base coat, and I did, and it was a little too thick, and I blurred out all the lines, so all my work was gone, and I was really upset. But when I sort of removed the excess paint, I can see now a bit of the lines that I had drawn. So I'm very excited, and today my goal is to put them back in, but this time instead of with pencil, I want to use paint. And so, yeah. And also, I learned that if you do something up here and it drips, it's going to remove all the pigment that's below it. So I want to work on the sky as well, because it's not quite the color I want it. It's a little too bright. It looks like that one back there, but I'm doing more of this, and I just want the water this sky to be more of this watercolor. So I'll do that later, but not today. But I'm probably going to flip it upside down so that when I paint it, if it drips, it's going to go down, and it'll drip off that way. It's not going to ruin my whole ruin my whole painting. So these are things that I've learned along the way, things that I've been thinking about in the back of my mind, because just because I'm not working on it, I still have it in my mind, mulling it over. And then I'm thinking about how I'll tell you these things, and I'm planning my next execution steps. So I will get started. I have some brushes, some small brushes, different sizes. I have tapered, one with dried paint on it from another painting. I have a small brush there, and I have water because gouache is a water-based paint. And we had a lot of rain the other day, and I put out a bucket to get some rain so I could use that for my paintings because I thought like there'd be cool energy in the water. And my cat drank half of it, and then I had it in this cup and I spilled it all on my fireplace. So there's like this much rainwater left. Yeah. And I have my paints. So from observation, I know that I'm going to be using a brown for this, but it's a little more reddish than what I see here. So I'm probably going to mix a tiny bit of green and a tiny bit of black to get this brown color. And I don't quite know what I'm going to do when I get to down here because the brown doesn't just stop here. I mean, it does, but there's like brown in the water here. And then it's mostly solid green from this line and up. So this might be a little tricky, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So, blah, blah, blah. I will mix up some paint now, and I'll get started on my little turkey container lid. Some brown. Yeah, this is like a chocolatey brown. I need it to be like a more moldy green so it's cohesive with the water. Okay, now what brush do I think I want to use here? I will use this one for starters. So let's see. I guess I can stick this right here. To start with. And then grab my water. Ooh, that's great. Oh. See, I mixed a little of the green with this brown, and it's sort of just like the perfect color on these two colors. So I don't think I'll need any black. Maybe though. And I will start from the back, and I will move forward. And let's see. I had drawn the people. I don't know if you can still see their outline. So I think I'll start there because everything back there, it's kind of like a blur. And the little pier feet, they come down about half an inch in to the water, estimatedly. But I guess just a little bit. Add some more water. I'm sitting on this side today. It's my first time sitting on this side making a video. It's like a parallel universe. It feels weird. And since I can still sort of see my pencil, it really helps with what I'm doing right now. A lot. So that's good. And this is right here, this little in-between line. It's the first sweeping line that comes from here into the water. So that's fun. Get to do that. And then this comes, that's this one. It's like a puzzle doing paintings from references, I think. The glare from the water makes it kind of hard for me to see. I have some new subscribers. Thank you. I see that, in my email when I get a new subscriber, it's like, oh, this person subscribed, and it makes me so happy. I have, I think, 18 people that follow my page here, or my website channel, thingamabob. At first, I hated this paint, and now the more I use it, the more control over it I feel like I have. I've learned its ways, its moods. I'm hyper. I've had a lot of coffee. Not even a lot, but I don't know if you can see, but it dripped down here. There's like some hyperpigmentation going on there, so I'm gonna have to work around that. And gouache paint, once it dries, it gets kind of hard, and you can re-wet it, but it will not work the same. So I suggest taking some water and just like plopping it right on the paint to keep it moist while you're working. We all love that word, don't we? There are worse words that I don't like to say. Groin. What is that? Oh, terrible word. Oh, my bird. Okay, so I've done this segment, comes down over that segment, down over comes in and goes back out. And down that segment, okay. This brown, just gonna come in a little bit, down a bit in there. And that will form so yeah, I'm pretty much on track of where my lines are guiding me. I've left this section blank because it goes right there. And I made it all one solid color. and it's pretty similar to this. I like to do as much as I can, as fast as I can, um, to get my canvas or my paper completely covered. I go macro to micro, biggest to smallest. So I noticed that this is sort of in the same color family, not exactly. This will obviously be more brown, but I like to establish a base, and then I can add my details over that. So now that I have this base, it's not exactly this color, but it's close enough to where I can make this color and go over it, and then it'll be great. And the more you do this, the better you'll get at it. The more you learn how to pick apart what you're seeing and putting it back down. I have music in my head like usual. Always listen to the radio. And there's a big span of brown down there. Coming together. So I have this section that comes in, out, in, out, and then sort of still have this line. Then this comes in quite a bit. My dad and I have already started planning our trip back here, Virginia Beach, for his 70, gosh, he's old, 78th? No, 41. I can't even count that high. His 78th birthday? No, 1941. Okay, he's old. And we went there last year for his birthday, and that's when I took this photo. And we had a lot of oysters and clams and crab cake sandwiches, and we've already started planning this year's trip. So I'm very excited about that. I traveled a lot last year, so this trip back home will probably be my only traveling this year. Maybe I'll move back. I don't know. I want to finish my degree here because I'm already 6 classes into it, my Bachelor's of Fine Art. And I love Las Vegas. I love the energy. The people here are really fun. I mean, everyone comes here to have a good time. We have a really strong economy. But I want to be here. I want to be back home, and there's forests where I grew up, and ocean and lushness everywhere, and the desert is really fun, but I miss my home, man. So I don't know, we'll see. We shall see. Sometimes being able to re-wet the paint and move it around is a good thing, and sometimes it's finicky. I don't know anything about being finicky or moody or temperamental. Nope, not me. So now that I'm here, I ramble so much. Now that I'm losing my mind. Now that I've made it to this point, I think I want to start. I'm going to start from the bottom down here and work up to see to have them meet in the middle, sort of. So I can sort of check my work. So I already have the line. Excuse me, coffee burps. I already have the line sketched. I don't know if you can see it. Starting here, going up and around, goes in, and then it comes back out. And then here we have the bottom major line. So yeah, gonna do that. And this is all just estimates because things change. I'll eye it up and see if I like it. And this is much darker brown than over here. You can see it's like has black in it around that area. So I can use some of my black for this section. Maybe I could even use a bigger brush. I bought some makeup brushes for use on bigger areas, and they work pretty well. So that's exciting. I think I'll use this little 1-inch for more coverage here. So just smooth out these areas. And some really good advice I read in an art book years ago was that a lot of artists, they use really small brushes, and you can get really caught up in doing little details here and there and this and that. But this guy, he was like, challenge yourself to only use brushes like this size or bigger. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And it was some good advice. So you keep that in mind. I'm trying to teach you everything I've ever read or know about art, so you may know it in your minds. I'm just going to bring this out a little bit. Why not? Continuity. And, notice how I'm trying to create ooh, that looks nice. Notice how I'm trying to create the sweeping motion here with my brush strokes. It can take time or not before you're comfortable doing that. My suggestion is to try to always be forming what you're seeing with here, like where the wave crashes over, you're gonna want to paint like that motion. You don't want to paint in a different direction. And I know that sounds like common sense, but it's not always common sense. Like, especially if you're starting out, like you don't know like how to dissect things like that, I think. So it's just something I always tell myself over and over, and yeah. This needs to be much darker, but it'll get there. Just trying to figure out where everything goes, really. And you can hold your brush. Yes, it is a flat brush, but you can also use it as an angled brush if you hold it like this and go straight across, or like, you know, more angled. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. And something else I did that was a bit of prep work after I filmed my last video was I super glued this paper to the cardboard. Normally I would not do that, but I did. So it'll be forever glued to the cardboard to keep it from wrinkling. I'll move this a little bit off there so I can get the very bottom. Oh, I miss being here so bad. My dad, 40 minutes. Okay, so that's almost the time that I have. So yeah, my dad and I, he was in the army, so we don't generally stay on the beach here. We stay at this place called Fort Story, and it's like some training area, and it's like a base, and they have a private beach that you can go to, and there's always dolphins, these Atlantic bottlenose black dolphins there, and they're really cool. And I tried swimming out to them one day. I had like a floaty, and I was like floating on it and paddling out, and I was trying to swim up to these dolphins, and I was getting pretty far out. And the closer I would get to them, the more I realized these things are massive. Like, they're huge things. They don't look that big when you're on the shore. They look like these tiny little specks. But then you get closer, and it's like this big thing, and I'm like, I know they're gentle animals, but still. And I got close, but not too close, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back. I like to photograph them. And my dad, when he was able to, he's really old now, and he can't even go in the water anymore. It's really sad to watch. He used to swim out much farther than I think I ever have in the Atlantic. In the Pacific, I've gone pretty far out. But he would go really, really far, and he would just swim back and forth, back and forth. And he's like, one time, something ginormous brushed up against him, and he's like, that was kind of freaky. Yeah. My dad is my water buddy. He and I would go to the YMCA and swim laps. He loves to swim, 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 swim. And I'd put on the little flippers, and he'd swim and I'd swim, and we would just do that for hours and hours. Those are some good memories. It made me feel like he was like the big blue whale, and I was like the little baby whale. What's the? Yeah, it was cute. Those were good times. So I'm excited that um, we'll be back in Virginia. But he can't even go in the water now because of his hips and his knees and stuff. He would get like swept away, and he has canes and wheelchairs and stuff. It's hard to watch, but I guess that's the cycles of life. Maybe if the VA didn't suck so bad, he could have got his surgery earlier and would not have had to suffer, and his condition would not have gotten so bad. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know. What do I know? So yeah, you see how it buckles down here and makes it kind of hard to paint. Is that a glare or? Yeah. So I'm going to stop recording for now. Thank you for watching. I'm going to have some lunch, and I will probably start recording again once this dries. I think I'm happy with it for now. Maybe that line needs to be a little lower. But yeah, thank you. Bye.